So I have been giving you some background last two classes about this book of death, one of the most mysterious books in Savitri. It is called Canto 3, Book 8, Canto 3. There is a little history about the composition of this book. The first draft of this book belongs to the period of what is called the Arya period, 1916, 1918, first draft. And this is one of the pages from that draft in Sri Aurobindo's own writing pertaining to the Book of Death. This one. Now, in the earlier draft, there were no books as such. It was a long narrative of just about 1,000 lines. Now it has become 24 times larger than that, and therefore the entire arrangement got changed completely in the course of revolution of Savitri. Around 1946 or 47, Sri Aurobindo had kind of formalized the entire structure of Savitri in several books. And this book was taken for revision in 1947. At that time, he didn't really do any revision, but he made a specific change by marking their Book of Death 3, Death in the Forest. That is what he had dictated, plus a few lines and changes in the original text of 1916-18. Now, this has become, in 1947, Book 8. Book 8 dealing with death. It is significant in its own way. In the horoscope, the 8th house is the house of death. 8th house is the house of death. And here also now it becomes the 8th book in the whole thing. And it was more or less about that time that Sri Aurobindo had taken the occult decision to withdraw. So that death, that 8th house, Book of Death, they are linked up. In the horoscope of Sri Aurobindo himself, there is something very significant corresponding to the 8th house. So all these are occult relationships one could perhaps see in this book here. Now, last time I was telling you that, well, I mean, those who were here, I was telling that the upper part of this page, the first 4 lines, are now gone to Book 7, Canto 1, which did not exist till 1946. Book of Yoga came after 1946. And the lower part, from that 4th line downward, it is that which really constitutes the present Book of Death as we have in Savitri. And the whole thing is in Sri Aurobindo's own handwriting. You can see how beautiful, how distinct, how clear it is. He used to write. By the way, I don't know whether you can make out or not, but let me try to show you. See, for instance, this word, perhaps she felt in the dim forest huge. You can read that line? Perhaps she felt in the dim forest huge. You see that word huge, E, that E of huge, he used to write E like Greek epsilon. That E which is there is the epsilon Greek, you see. So that E was always, in fact, at number of places you can see that his E more or less corresponds to the epsilon of the Greek alphabets, you see. Mother, everywhere is like that, you see. See, for instance, now, herbs he has trod and know the forest flowers. You can see the of forest flowers here. And flowers, E here also again, he used to write E as epsilon of the Greek letter, see. Now, the transcription of what we have seen here is this one. They are careless glories, those seen to our indifferent doom, in heartless splendors clad, who hit with his bright hand the death of joy. Swiftly the fatal day came striding on. Now these lines in their contents became a part of the first canto of seventh book of Yoga, these 4 lines. And then the book of death starts from here. Now it was here in this great golden dawn. Dawn is the full stop. It was here in this great golden dawn. As I said last time, this it here. Now it was here. It corresponds to the fatal day. The fatal day was here. The fatal day was here. Now the fatal day was here in this great golden dawn. That is the connotation of the line here, see. And then it goes on here. By Satyavan upon a forest stone, what prayer she breathed her soul and Durga knew. That is the way she even used to spell Durga in the early days, T-O-O, not D-U, you see. Now, the point which I am trying to make here is, in fact, we have already seen it, but I am kind of rushing through some of these aspects again, because this fatal day in the present context here is not available for a passage with which the book of death begins. Now it was here, that is how the latest passage reads here. Now that it corresponds to what? That's the point here, you see. But that it can be linked up in 2 ways. See, if you see the part pertaining to Canto 1 of Book 7, how it ends, because it is with that it is linked up, you see. The year now paused upon the brink of change. No more the storm sage with stupendous wings, and thunder strode in wrath across the world, and still was heard a muttering in the sky, and rain dripped wearily through the mournful air, and grey, slow-drifting clouds shut in the earth. So he is describing the scene, the atmosphere of that particular time when the fatal day is to arrive, you see. And grey, slow-drifting clouds shut in the earth. Already the indications of the fatal day are symbolically put there, you see. So her grief's heavy sky shut in her heart. The sky is full of clouds, heavy, and so also is the grief of Savitri. A still self hid behind, but gave no light. She is waiting for some guidance, some help, what to do about this one. No voice came down from the forgotten eyes, but she doesn't get anything at all. Only in the privacy of his brooding pain, her human heart spoke to the body's fate. Her human heart spoke to the body's fate. Now, this is the end of the part connected with first canto of book 7, what we are hearing. Now, it is with that you can now see the beginning of the book of death. Now it was here. So all that only the previous is that it gets connected with that entire description straight away, you see. It gets connected with that. You see. You don't need specifically the fatal day to be present here. That whole thing gets connected directly, you see. Now, this is what we have in book 7, canto 1. But actually, book of death appears after book 7. The end of book 7, canto 7, is here. Savitri, as we have already seen, was asked, advised, told to annul herself completely so that only God be. That only God be there. To be God's void completely. So that whatever has to be God done in her will be done by God Himself directly in her. Savitri has done that. Savitri could have vanished into that nothingness of God. But then the Mother Earth, the ancient Mother, would not allow Savitri to disappear from this creation. She cannot allow Savitri to go and merge into the Absolute. She has a work to do here in the context of the earth, and she cannot go away. So she clutches Savitri back. And then what happens? She clutches with what? She has become now time and the dreams of God in time. She would have gone into eternity and vanished. But now she was time and the dreams of God. She has to fulfill. She has to make those dreams real. She has a work to do here. She was time and the dreams of God in time. She was space and the wideness of His days. What is infinite is all right. She cannot go away here. But what about this place here, this finite? It has to become, it has to have the quality of the infinite. Savitri has to do that work here. So she was space with the wideness of His days. From this she rose where time and space were not. The superconscient was her native air. Infinity was her movements and natural space. So eternity looked out from her on time. So Savitri has been brought back. The Mother Goddess has brought her back, and therefore it is she, eternity, who is looking on time through her, you see. And therefore in that context, now it was here in this great golden dawn. The story begins from here, you see. The connection gets established with this thing, with the present canto here directly, you see. Now it was here in this great golden dawn, by a still sleeping husband, lane she gazed into her past as one about to die. Satyavan is there sleeping. Savitri has got up early morning because she knows something is going to happen today. She was ready for that thing. She gets up early morning. By a still sleeping husband, lane she gazed into her past as one about to die. Here is my husband sleeping still, and shortly, in another 6 hours, he will die. She looks back upon the sunlit face of life, where he too ran and sported with the rest. lifting his head above the huge dark street. So you can see now this connection of that now it was is actually with this part of the previous canto, the connections are there always. The continuity is maintained there, although there was a gap of some 30 years between that part and that part of the passage, you see. The connections are there, you see. That is the beauty of the composition, the logical sequencing of things which happen, you see. In fact, this kind of thing, we have one very good example in book 4. Savitri was told by her father to find her own life's partner because nobody was coming forward to claim her hand in marriage. And so her father says, you are now free. You can go around in the whole world and look for one whom you find to be suitable as your life's partner. She goes from place to place. She travels for several months constantly from place to place, you see, in the quest, Canto 4 of book 4, you see. And then towards the end of the canto, what happens? She is not seeing anybody at all inside. She has gone to different kingdoms, different palaces, different centers of worship, pilgrimages, hermitages, forests. She has been traveling almost for a year, you see. But she does not find anybody at all. And she is sort of uncertain what is going to happen, how she is going to find. And therefore, the quest remains in suspense till that moment. A grandiose silence wrapped the regal day. Silence, nothing is known, nothing. The months had fed, so she is traveling for months. The months had fed the passion of the sun as she is going here. And now his burning breath assailed the soil. Savitri's quest is now coming to a point when it is going to be this summer, which is important. The meeting of Satyavan and Savitri appears in the month of summer, in the month of June, basically, you see. So, and now his burning breath assailed the soil. The tiger heats proud to the fainting earth. You can see the intensity of summer at time. Summer, as I told you, is very important because it is that which provides the physical cause for the death of Satyavan. The intensity of heat, as if it's not exactly a sunstroke, but that intensity of heat, you see. All was licked up as by a lolling tongue, tiger heat, you see, eating up. You see. The spring winds failed, the sky was like bronze, set like bronze. So it is the end of the summer, end of the spring and the beginning of the summer when the meeting takes place actually, you see. Now you see, so this is the end of the quest. She is not sure what is going to happen, but the next canto, next book rather, Book of Love, begins with, but now the destined spot. You see, now that correction here, it begins with but now. It begins with but now, you see. Same thing what we have got here in the Book of Death also. We have got the same connection in the Book of Death. But now the destined spot and hour were closed. So it is not only the place, but also the time. At this moment, at this place, they are going to meet. The destined, it is destined. It has to happen. So the important point here is the transition from one book to the other book. You see, he starts with the new book with but now. And it has a previous connection throughout, all along here, you see. That is important, you see. But now, the destiny. So you can see as if the whole thing is reading as a continuous logical sequence, you see. He is laid upon the work of all-wise fate. Obviously, it is fate who is wise and who has brought them together here at Tulpe. And nothing happens in the cosmic play, but at its time, at its time and in its foreseen place. Everything is fixed. Kala and Sthana, both of them are fixed, Kala and Sthana, where it has to happen. In the case of the destined people, the marked people, for them everything is fixed. Yes, this will happen. On 29th March 1914, a great meeting had to take place. It is destined. Where is Paris? Where is Calcutta? Where is Pondicherry? But it happens. It has to take place. Destined time and destined place. So if you had to really mark the beginning of time, called zero moment, I will call the beginning of time as 4 p.m. 29th March 1914. From that day onward, the new time really begins. If you have to measure the distances from any place here, I will measure them from the guest house. That is the place where it has happened. That is the time when this has happened. The destiny is already fixed that way, and things have to roll out from that point onward. So this is the connection what we are seeing for this mysterious line which we had here. Now it was here, in this, now it was here, you see, in the fifth line here, you see. The connections are already built up, you see, like that, you see. So now, with that little background, we can begin, after 3 classes, the book of death. Now it was here in this great golden dawn, by her still sleeping husband lain, she gazed into her past, as one about to die looks back upon the sunlit fields of life, where he too ran and sported with the rest, lifting his head above the huge dark stream, into whose depths he must forever plunge. He is already indicating, yes, shortly he will plunge into those mysterious dark depths. Shortly, it's going to happen. See, this was written in 1916, 1918, as I told you, in the Arya period, you see, this part. And the style is different than the style of Savitri, apart from this canto elsewhere, you see. Now it was here, this great golden dawn. Now that is the most mysterious thing. He is talking of the golden dawn. Savitri is waking up with the arrival of the golden dawn. And what is going to happen on that golden dawn? Her husband is going to die. In other words, the death of her husband is intimately connected with this golden dawn. There is something golden about this particular death. So although they look very contradictory, death occurring, and yet it is golden. So the poet is already implied, no, this is something very significant. This death is not an ordinary death. And that death, the day of that death has arrived, basically. Now, she says here, by her still sleeping husband lain she gazed. Savitri, her husband is in the bed. She gets up and she looks around. What? Looks back upon the sunlit face of life. Yes, in another few hours you will be there, and the whole past kind of moves across her vision quickly, and she surveys the entire past. But what kind of past? Sunlit past. of they being together. Now, back upon the sunlit fields is a very important phrase, in the sense that, see, after all, they have been together, Satyavan and Savitri have been together just for a year. They were married last year and today he is going to die. So it is not look back upon the sunlit phase of life. It is not that duration of 1 year which she is seeing. After all, in the whole context, that is a very short duration. But what Savitri is seeing here in that gaze, when she gazed into her past, it is not this past of 1 year, but into her past, which have been going life after life. The whole panorama of her past lives, of they being together, of coming again and again together, all the past births of theirs, it is that which suddenly she is surveying, she is seeing. Now, this particular time, this particular occasion is going to be different than what had been earlier. Yes, they have been coming together, they have been separating and all that sort of a thing. But this time, it is not that which is going to happen. It is something which will be pertaining to the golden dawn. All the past lives for yuga, eons and eons, which they have been living together, it is those lives which are now culminating into this great golden dawn. It is that which Savitri is seeing the moment she gets up on the fated day. Her occult vision immediately opens out and sees the entire panorama of her birth. By her still sleeping husband lay she gazed into her past as one about to die looks back upon the sunlit face. She's talking about sunlit face. So it's not just 1 year. Where now, this of course, where he too runs portrayed with the rest. He of course stands here for her husband, Satyavan. And now he is living the life here, human life all along. But in the stream of life, lifting his head above the huge dark stream of consciousness, he is trying to get up and see things. But now, at this moment, on his golden dawn, he will plunge into its depths, into the depths of that darkness. He will plunge into the depths of darkness. So she is seeing now, he is plunging into the night sky. In fact, that is what is emphasized here further. All she had been and done, she lived again. This is reinforcing these two lines. It is reinforcing these two lines, you see, basically. All she had been, it's not a question of 1 year. She is remembering their association, life after life. It has been going on. And she is there, in whose depths he must forever plunge. Must, that is important. It is not that he will plunge. In whose depths he will plunge forever. It's not that. He must plunge, which is important. It is the same thing what we have here in the end of the first canto itself. This was the day when Satyavan must die. This was the day when Satyavan must die. It is that must again is getting emphasized here. In whose death he must forever plunge, he must die. Why? Because it is out of that something has to happen. Unless he goes and meets death, Savitri cannot conquer death. That is the golden dawn. If she has to conquer death, he must die. He has to die. He must plunge into that dark sea. And therefore, all that was happening, life after life, she is recollecting at once all she had been through the ages, all the yoga, all the realizations which she had, life after life, they flit across a vision suddenly. You see. All she had been and done, she lived again. And now the poet is making it more specific in the present context of the story. Although he has given the description of her past lives here, so to say, the whole year, which means that this year is a significant year, is a symbolic year of the long association. Here is not the question of what we count as the earth going around the sun once. It's not that. It becomes symbolic in the sense that the whole lifespan which is there through the ages, it is that which is quintessence in that whole year. It is caught in that one single year. The whole year, and therefore, all the yugas, all the eons, they are coming across the whole year in a swift and eddying race of memories swept through her and fled away into the irrecoverable past. So she is seeing the whole thing and they are again disappearing into the past. Savitri's past is there. She has to now meet past. She has to meet the past. All that thing is locked in the past. She has to recapture and make it bright as future. And therefore, then suddenly she rose. Again, it is not the physical Savitri who is getting up on that particular day. Of course, she is getting up on that particular day. But then suddenly she rose. Suddenly, in that sense, see, in that sense. And he is now telling you in a manner of a story, you see, narrative, you see. Then silently she rose and service done. Early morning, all the morning duties she has done. She has kindled the fire, she has kindled the yajna, she has put the ahutis, everything she has done here early morning, before even her husband gets up or somebody is around, you see. Then silently she rose and service done, bowed down to the great goddess simply carved by Satyavan upon a forest stone. The statue of the great goddess is sculpted by Satyavan himself. He is a sculptor and he has made a statue, you see. As I told you last time, in the Mahabharata story, original story of Savitri in the Mahabharata, he is described as a painter of horses. Satyavan is described as the painter of horses. Well, that is also symbolic, painter of horses. All the life powers he can control and depict and present. Horse stands for the life powers, life energy, you see. That is what we have got in the original story of Mahabharata. Here he is shown as a sculptor on a rock in the hermitage. He has carved the statue of Durga by Satyavan upon a forest stone. What prayer she breathed! Her soul and Durga knew. Nobody else would know, obviously. What she is asking for, only her soul knows and the goddess knows. Nobody else has any idea at all. What prayer she breathed, her soul and Durga knew. But of course, the poet also knows it. Obviously, the poet of course knows it, you see. Now, why Shaivendu has transformed the painter of horses into the sculptor of Durga. Painter of horses, life energy is in full movement in the cosmic field. he is now talking here of Durga. And the reference is specifically in the context of the fated death. In another 4 hours, 5 hours, he is going to die. He is going to die, you see. Durga is the goddess who gives protection. She not only vanquishes the enemy, but also gives protection. So what she breathed, her soul and Durga knew. She is praying for Durga's protection. She is praying for Durga's power to be with her for this particular event, which will be seen by her shortly, you see. That is the prayer she is offering immediately there. By Satyavan upon a forest stone. What prayer? So, in fact, Durga, as I told you, is a goddess who gives the protection. She is the one who defeats, vanquishes enemy. So it is in that context the mention of Durga is significant. As we have in the Mahabharata story, you see, on the battlefield, the two armies are standing face to face. On the one side, the Kaurava armies, on the other side, the Pandava armies. And the conchs are blown to begin the fight. That is how the Gita begins. The Gita begins. The conchs are Devadattam Dhananjaya, Panchajanyam Rishikesha. Sri Krishna himself blew the conch named Panchajanya. Arjuna blew the conch named Devadattam, given by God, you see. And the fight is about to start. The battle is about to begin. But at that moment, Arjuna succumbs to weakness. And he gives up his bow and arrow. I'm sorry, I can't fight. He has succumbed to the weakness. And then, of course, he is lectured heavily by Krishna, etc., all that. And then finally, Arjuna recovers his earlier self, the Kshatriya self, and is now ready to fight. The battle is about to begin. At that point of time, Krishna tells him, yes, you are ready, but please first get down from the chariot and offer your prayers to Durga, and then begin the fight. He tells him, first worship Durga here, and then the fight will begin. It is she who will give the victory, not you, not me, she. He has to get down. It is that Durga which is here again. What prayer she breathed, her soul, and Durga knew. Perhaps she felt in the dense forest huge, the infinite mother watching over her child. Her child, that is Savitri herself, watched by the infinite mother. Aditi, infinite, without end. She is watching from above. Perhaps the shrouded voice spoke some still word. It is that infinite mother who is speaking to Savitri's soul. Savitri, don't worry. I am there with you. Go ahead. Get ready for the moment. She is telling her like that. Perhaps the shrouded voice, you see again here, V is capital V. The divine voice of the divine Shakti who is telling Savitri, get ready. So Savitri is now ready and she has to do a few kind of routine things, so to say. The story is moving forward. At last, she came to the pale mother queen. Satyavan will be shortly going to the forest for his daily work. And Savitri would not allow him to go unaccompanied without her. She must accompany him while he goes to the forest today. She must be with him. At last she came to the pale mother queen, pale old mother queen, that is Satyavan's mother. Mother queen is Satyavan's mother. She is not named in Shivandu Savitri, but her name in the Mahabharata story is Shaibya. Shaibya in the Mahabharata story, Shaibya. So Savitri approaches her mother-in-law, seeking permission to accompany her husband to the forest on that particular morning. She requests her. That is what we have got here. At last she came to the pale mother queen, pale old lady, feeble, weak. But apart from that, she was a queen. Before they came to the forest, King Dumasena was the king of Shaibya land, of Shalva land, you see. But his enemies took advantage of his blindness and drove him out of the kingdom, and therefore he was staying in the forest. And naturally, she also accompanied him. Her young son, hardly a few years old at the time, Satyavan, also was in the forest with him. That is why she is pale. There is no kingdom. She is living in the hermitages now. She is weak, she is feeble physically, but also pale psychologically in terms of the circumstances of life. She has become feeble also, you see now. Therefore, pale mother queen. She spoke, but with guarded lips and tranquil face. She, Savitri. Savitri spoke to her mother-in-law with guarded lips. Savitri knows why she wants to go to the forest. She knows why she wants to go to the forest, but she does not want that thing to be known to others. So she is very careful in selecting her words, in speaking out, in even putting on a facial expression so that nothing betrays to them that something is wrong over there where you see. As if it is a kind of routine thing which is going on. She spoke, but with guarded lips and tranquil face. Savitri is always tranquil, but she becomes more tranquil when she is going to speak to her mother-in-law. As some stray word or some betraying look should let pass into the mother's unknowing breast. If by chance, by mistake, some slip occurs, and then that is caught by her mother-in-law, all done. See, she is very careful about that. See, should let pass into the mother's unknowing breast, slaying all happiness and need to live. Slaying all happiness and need. The moment she would sense that something is going to be wrong today, that sense would slay all her happiness and the meaning of her life also. The meaning of her life also will get lost, you see. Who would like her son to die like that? And if the mother knows about it, she will be terribly disturbed also, you see. Slaying all happiness, obviously, and need to live. So the construction is should let pass a dire foreknowledge. Grammatically, that is the construction. She would not allow anything from her mouth to slip out in the nature of a dire foreknowledge. Why? If that foreknowledge is given, they will slay the happiness and need to live if something happens suddenly like that. Therefore, Only the needed utterance, passage found. What was there? She is very precise, and only that much only she is going to speak. All else she is pressed back into her anguished heart. She is having a tranquil face, but within her heart, there is anguish, there is anxiety, there is worry what is going to happen. Sorrow is there in her heart, but she is having a tranquil face above. That is a very difficult kind of a thing. It is very, very yogic. Only he can do that. Only the needed utterance, passage found. All else she pressed back into her anguished heart and forced upon her speech and outward peace. You see, obviously. And then now, kind of innocently, she is asking her mother-in-law, please allow me to go with my husband to the forest today. See, 1 year that I have lived with Satyavan, here on the emerald edge of the vast woods, in the iron ring with enormous peace. So this is nature scene all around here, the Salwa forest, you see. Here on the emerald edge, emerald thick forest, green forests are there, on the vast wood, in the iron ring of enormous peak, tall mountains, rocky mountains all around here, surrounding the whole plain. Under the blue rifts of the forest sky, through the forest, the sky is coming here like rifts. I had not gone into the silences of this great woodland that enringed my thought. Yes, they're always haunting me. I am staying here in the hermitage, but I had never gone and seen those places at all, although I can imagine them here. I had not gone into the silences of this great woodland that enringed my thought with mystery, nor in its green miracles wandered the trees, the beautiful flowers, the animals, the birds, rivers, mountains. I had never gone. I have been just living here in this small hermitage all along. But this small clearing was my work. In the forest, free of tall trees and all that, this is the clearing. And it is here that I have been living here for 1 year. Going to the well in the morning, pulling water from the well, doing household work. I have been doing like a ordinary person here all along, although she's a princess, you see. And then she says, now has a strong desire seized all my heart to go with Satyavan, holding his hand into the life that he has loved, and touch herbs he has trod, and know the forest flowers, and hear at ease the birds and the scurrying life that starts and ceases, rich far rustle of boughs, and all the mystic whispering with the wood, and all the mystic whispering with the wood. See the poetry, and all the mystic whispering with the wood. The rhythm is so beautiful, you see. And all the mystic whispering, you see, you can scan it like that, and all the mystic whispering of the woods. That is the beat. And all, that is the first foot, then mystic, the second foot, then mystic wisp, that's the third foot, purring, that is the fourth feet, and other woods, that is the fifth feet, Anapest. That is Scansion's line. And all the mystic whispering with the woods, the birds are there, they're crying, release me now, and let my heart have rest. She is pleading to her, let my heart have rest, you see. What a poignant prayer of Savitri to her mother-in-law, you see. Now has a strong desire seized all my heart to go with Satyavan, holding hand into the life that he has loved, and touch herbs he has trod, and know the forest flowers, and hear at ease the birds in the scurrying life the stars and seas, rich parasol of boughs and all the mystic whispering the woods. Release me now and let my heart have rest. Let my heart have rest. Release me now. No modern daughter-in-law will ask permission from her mother-in-law in this. See, she will say, go to hell. Who are you to question me? Who are you to question me, see? Who are you to question me, see? Yeah. So she is now, we are told here, only needed utterance found. All else she pressed back into her anguished heart and forced upon her speech and outward, etc. Only the needed utterance, so that she does not want to betray by her word or feeling or facial expression something wrong to her mother-in-law. And therefore she makes this speech. But at the same time, if the mother-in-law is alert enough, if she is alert enough, she will immediately say, now has a strong desire. Why the strong desire suddenly? Savitri, why? I mean, why suddenly the strong desire has come to you? She has, in a certain sense, already betrayed also that there is something very unusual today. By saying strong desire, she has betrayed. Now, if the mother-in-law is sharp enough, quick enough, she will catch hold of this thing, you see. And question also, perhaps, you see, a strong desire has seized my heart. Why? You see, anybody will ask this question. Why a strong desire has seized you today, suddenly, after 1 year, you see. And then, of course, she described etc. all that thing, you see. These trees were there all along, the flowers were there, birds were there, mountains were there, rivers were flowing, and today suddenly, why now? This strong desire has come to you. You see, why he has come to you? Now, that is the beauty of poetry also. Release me now. Here, it is made very clear that Savitri does not want to give any hint, any indication of what is going to happen a few hours hence. Nobody knows in the hermitages. Only 3 persons who know of what is going to happen at 12 o'clock on this particular day are, of course, Ashwapati, her father, her mother, and Savitri. Nobody, not even Satyavan. Although at times he felt something unusual, but he could not really guess what was unusual in the way Savitri would behave with him. Nobody knows that. And she wants to keep that thing as a secret, absolutely hold a secret to herself. And this is a great, great, great yogic capacity to hold that kind of a knowledge entirely to yourself, not to reveal to anybody at all. It needs tremendous capacity. And particularly she being a lady, she is managing to hold that thing back to her, you see. That is a great thing, you see. She does not betray at all, you see. That is the quality of Savitri. Now, of course, we know what is going to happen and all that. Now, why Savitri should go to the forest? Savitri has to go to the forest because the death is going to take place in the forest. In the forest. Why in the forest? Why not in the house? Why not in the house? Why in the forest? In the lonely place where her soul, nature's soul from below and God's from above, the soul of nature all around and God from above, they are only going to be the witness of this event of the death of Satyavan. Nobody else at all, no human element will be present there. It is important. That is why the death has to take place in the forest. If there is a human interference in the occult working, that can be harmful, that can cause damage, that will not be able to achieve what it is supposed to achieve. There has to be total isolation from everything which is vital, mental, physical of man. It is only nature's soul, the soul of nature and God's above. They are the only persons who would matter in the entire occult play. Human, he will spoil the game. He will spoil the game. He has to be kept aside. Therefore, the death has to take place in a lonely spot, away from civilization, away from habitation, away from everything. It has to take place here. Now you can imagine if it happens in the house, and then there'll be shouting, crying, weeping, people gathering and all that thing. And how can then Savitri do her work with Satyama, with Yama, with death? It's impossible, you see. She has to have total isolation. That is how the story is, so to say, designed. Why death in the forest? The story is designed that way for that occult purposes, and it has to happen in that manner, you see. Release me now. So that's the occult reason why death should take place there and why Savitri is asking for that. Now, okay, let us read this part. Savitri's mother-in-law answers to her. She answered, "Do as thy wise mind desires." You are a person of great wisdom. I know that by my association with you for 1 year, I have come to realize that, and therefore you are absolutely, although you are asking my permission, but actually you don't really need the permission. You are a wise person and you know what to do when. Go ahead and do it. You see. Oh, calm, child sovereign, with the eyes that rule. That is what she sees in Savitri's eyes. They have the power to govern time and circumstance. All that goes around, her eyes can see and govern that thing. So, in other words, this mother-in-law is spiritually very perceptive of some of these things. Yes, she has something very powerful in her, and her eyes possess that power by which things all around can be shaped, can be framed the way they have to move here. The eyes that rule, you see. And calm, that is the quality she has already. That child sovereign, she is a princess. As a young princess, she has come and started living in the forest, and therefore she is addressing her like that. I hold thee for a strong goddess who has come. Well, this is contextual. I hold thee for a strong goddess who has come pitying our barren days. Contextual in the sense that they are living in the hermitage, barren days, no life dynamism at all, you see. And Savitri has accepted it. She is pitying them, their condition, and she is willing to serve them, even in that condition, you see. Strong goddess, you have come like a goddess to help us. Otherwise, how do we expect that a young princess would come and serve us like that? See, you must be somebody exceptional already here, pitying our barren days. This is, of course, in the immediate context of the story of Savitri in the human way of looking at things, but it is a much greater truth, much deeper truth, more spiritual, more occult, more dense, powerful, diamond-like, intense. This truth. Strong goddess who has come pitying our barren days. That is what the avatar comes here to do. He comes here for that purpose. Savitri, the divine goddess, takes the human birth, pitying our barren days, comes like an avatar here to redeem our fate, our lot, our condition, our mortality. It is for that purpose you come here and try to help. So it is not just the immediate social context in which this is there, but it is in the deeper occult spiritual sense that I hold thee for a strong goddess who has come pitying our barren days. That is how Savitri comes here. In other words, this lady is really a person who has spiritual realization of certainty. After all, she has been living for 25 years in the ashram, in the spiritual atmosphere, in the hermitages, and she must have definitely acquired that spiritual merit, that capacity to know things beyond the human contact, you see. So the moment she sees Savitri, she doesn't see Savitri as a human figure there. She sees behind her somebody else who has come here to help us. That is the realization she already has in her. That is, in a certain sense, the greatness of Savitri, also of her mother-in-law. I hold thee for a strong goddess who has come pitying our barren day. So dost thou serve, even as a slave might. Yes, Savitri is coming, she is cleaning the floor, pulling the water from the well, washing the clothes, cleaning the utensils. She is doing all the household work like a slave in the house, like a goddess, you see. So dost thou serve, even as a slave might, yet art thou beyond all that thou doest. All our minds conceive, like the strong sun that serves earth from above. What a powerful simile she has put. Yes, you are serving us the way the sun serves the earth here. You have taken this birth here for that purpose. So this is the greatness. In fact, if you simply read this line alone, this passage alone, I hold thee for a strong goddess who has come pitying our barren day. So dost thou serve even as a slave might, yet art thou beyond all that thou doest. All our minds conceive, like the strong sun that serves earth from above. This is the realization of the avatarhood of Savitri. This is the description of Savitri being an avatar. These 5 lines are the description of an avatar, not human Savitri, ordinary Savitri. Strong goddess like a sun serving from above. See. In other words, even if I don't know about the past of Savitri, etc., here and all that, by simply saying that, by reading these lines, it is absolutely clear that this is somebody who has come for a special mission to do something specially on earth. And that is what the avatar does, you see. So that has been very powerfully indicated in these 4-5 lines, you see. I hold thee for a strong goddess is enough. That hold thee is not just an utterance, it's not just a phrase, it is a realization. She has realized it. It is not just kind of a verbal utterance or speaking something. I hold thee, it is a realization, you see. And then the doomed husband and the woman who knew, etc., goes on, you see. Now, let us read the corresponding passage, what we have in the Mahabharata story, or what we have just seen, you see. How Savitri is asking for the permission and how her mother-in-law grants the permission to Savitri. Now, in the Mahabharata story, it is different. Okay, so in the Mahabharata story, we have more or less the essence is the same, but in a different idiom and different manner of social customs. Here, Savitri is asking the permission from her mother-in-law. In the Mahabharata story, Savitri is asking the permission from her father-in-law, not from mother-in-law. The patriarchal society, it is that which is presented in the original story here. And then we have here, then Savitri, the observer of the difficult to vow, went to her in-laws and with due respect requested them this way. Presently, my husband is leaving for the great forest to gather fruits. Early morning, he is about to go to the forest and she approaches them and she tells them, my husband will be shortly going to the forest to gather fruits for all of us here, you see. A desire impels me to go also with him. If by the respectable mother and father-in-law I shall be permitted to do so. If I am permitted, then only I will go. I cannot bear, even for a moment, separation from him any more. She says like that. Your son is going to the forest to collect fruits and flowers and sacrificial wood for the sacred fire, for the yajna, as are needed by his revered teachers all around. So it is not proper for me to stop him from this. I cannot say, no, don't go to the forest today. He must go to the forest today, obviously. Had it been for something else, I would not have allowed him to go to the forest. Of course, he's lying here. Yeah, to the forest. Besides, it is almost for a year that I did not step out of the ashram premises. But now a curiosity has arisen in me to see the forest. I want to go and see the forest, full of trees and flowers. Now, this is what she is telling her in-laws, and the answer is made by Jumatsena here. Jumatsena, that is her father-in-law, answers. Ever since Savitri's father left her here as my daughter-in-law, never has she made any request to me for anything. Savitri has been living here, she never made any request at all for anything. I do not recollect her having done so any time. And therefore, let the young wife have what she is longing for. She has not requested me anything at all, you see. Oh, my dear daughter, be not inadvertent while following the way with Satyavan. It's a dangerous road, rocky road, trees are there, snakes are there, all kind of insects are there. Don't fall into that kind of thing. That is how he advises Savitri. Obtaining thus the permission from both the in-laws, the triumphant lady, Savitri is now jubilant that she got the permission from her in-laws, you see. Yashaswini, he calls it Yashaswini, she is triumphant, Yashasvi. Lady went with her husband, but while she appeared to be smiling and happy, in her bosom she carried a severe, deep affliction. Obviously, she is happy to go along with her husband, but in her heart there is that grief. She saw large eyes as she was, different parts of the forest, varied in aspects, and beautiful everywhere, with flocks of joyous peacocks. She sees all beautiful things around, with a lot of peacocks there, she dancing. Now, again, this is a very charged kind of a story. The description here is not just for the sake of description or fancy. When he speaks of peacocks and joyous and all that kind of a thing, he is already indicating the triumph, the victory. Peacock is the bird of victory of what Savitri is doing. Therefore, he uses peacocks. He doesn't say other birds, parrots and other things. He uses peacocks. She carried deep peacocks, showing the sacred stream. Satyavan is showing this stream, this mountain, these trees, these flowers and all that thing. Showing the sacred streams, carrying waters, and the tall mountains, and the trees laden with flowers. Satyavan would speak to Savitri in words that are honey sweet. The lovers are there in the lonely place. That is how we will speak to each other intimately, lovingly. See. Yet, with a steadfast look, Savitri kept a close vigil on all the movements of her husband. He is going around seeing her. She is watching all the while, every moment. She is not allowing him to escape out of her sight. Remembering well the words of the heavenly sage, Narad, what Narad had said. Because Narad, this moment, this hour, this day, this year, everything is specified explicitly. Savitri is counting, etc. Now that moment is about to arrive. Remembering well the words of the heavenly sage, she knew for certain the death of her husband with the arrival of time. Kala is about to come, time is about to arrive. Kala Purusha will be there and she will have to face him, you see, death. She, walking with a soft and gentle gait, had her heart as it divided into two. On the one hand, she is in the company of her lover. She is very happy, very joyous, very jubilant also. She sees the birds, peacocks dancing all around, joyous. But at the same time, she is afflicted. Soon, very shortly, he is going to die. So there is deep grief also in the soul. She is at once joyous and grieving. She, walking with a soft and gentle gait, had her heart as if divided into two, one following her husband and the other in the await of the fatal moment. Yes, it has to come, it will come. She is waiting for that also. So that is how we have in the original story. So this follows more or less the same description, narrative, Then doomed, then the doomed husband and a woman who knew went with linked hands into that solemn world where beauty and grandeur and unspoken dream, because they are lovers moving together, where nature's mystic silence could be felt communing with the secrecy of God. Now, this is not just a love story. The whole place is where there is the mystic silence, there is the spiritual atmosphere all around here, communing with the secrecy of God. The silence is holding in its bosom some secret of the God. Why the silence for? There is a secret of God locked in it, and it is that secret of God which will get opened shortly. Secrecy of God will be revealed in a moment with the arrival of death. Beside her, Satyavan walked full of joy, obviously, as a young person, as a young husband, because she moved with him through his green haunts, all the green places. He showed her all the forest riches, flowers innumerable of every odor and hue, and soft, thick, clinging creepers, red and green, and strange, rich plumaged birds. To every cry that haunted sweetly distant above, replied with a shrill singer's name, most sweetly called. So the bird is answering the bird with greatest sweetest calm. This is what she sees there all around, you see. In nature's description. In fact, we'll see this thing again in more detail next time. He spoke of all the things he loved. Satyavan is very familiar with the whole place. In fact, that is how he has grown, and that is how he had described the whole place when he was making advances towards Savitri in the book of love. That whole description is kind of summarized here. We shall see that thing this time. He spoke of all the things he loved. They were his boyhood's comrades and his playfellows, co-evals and companions of his life. He has grown with them. Here in this world, with every mood he knew. Their thoughts which to the common mind are blank, he shared. He could understand what they are speaking, what they are communicating constantly. He realizes that thing. To every wild emotion felt an answer. Deeply she listened, but to hear the voice of soul who says from tender words. She is, of course, very lovingly listening to what he is speaking. But then the voice that soul would sees, she is constantly aware of this fact. Now the moment will come, now the moment will come, now the moment will come. And his voice you see. The voice that soul would sees from tender words and treasure its sweet cadences beloved for lonely memory. So what will happen? All that he has been speaking until now, in a short while, they will become memories. She will not be able to hear it. They will become memory shortly. See. For lonely memory, when none by her walked, she would be alone there because he won't be there now, and she would be simply remembering all those associations of her with him. And the beloved voice could speak no more, but little dwelled her mind upon their sense. Yes, she understands all those loving words which Satyavan is speaking, but she is not really bothered about that. She understands that thing, she holds that thing also, but she is more involved, more drawn into the depth of what is implied behind that. But little dwelt her mind upon their sin. Yes, she understands, but there is something deeper. Of death, not life, she thought, her life's lone end. Her concern, her thought, her occupation, mental, physical, vital, everything is for death. Not life, but death. She thought her life's lone end. Love in her bosom, hurt with jagged edges. So love itself has become a rough stone, and it is that which is hurting her. Of anguish moaned at every step and pain, crying, so that when the stone of love is scratching her heart, she feels the pain and cries, now, now, perhaps his voice will cease forever, forever. Even by some vague touch of breast, sometimes her eyes looked round as if their orbs might see the dim, the dreadful God's approach. So the dim, dreadful God will approach. Yeah.